This is going to be PulseChain versus PulseX, and this is going to be a very big topic in our ecosystem. Which one wins? Does PulseChain win? Let me know in the comments below. Does PulseX win? Let me know in the comments below, folks. Give me your thoughts and let me know which one you are more bullish on. Let me know if it's a short-term process or if it's something that you're planning on doing long-term. Because again, I'm going to go through and give my thoughts about the PulseChain ecosystem as well. And not only that, go through and give my thoughts on which one's gonna win, right? And which one I think could be a better opportunity for every single one of you who are in this video today. So again, welcome back to everyone who is tuning in for the first time. My name is ATX Crypto. To all the newbies joining for the first time in the wild world of crypto, welcome. The financial world and crypto world is a wild freaking world. But today we're diving into a big debate in our ecosystem, and that's PulseChain versus PulseX. Which one's gonna be the king of the jungle? Which one comes out on top? Which one makes you the most money? Which one brings you the biggest return? We're gonna get into all that and more in this video. And again, that question, let me first preface this by saying, guys, I am not a financial advisor. Do your own research. Make sure that you spend the time to get all the views and make sure that you invest in what you choose to invest in. Don't listen to one person on YouTube or two people on YouTube. Go and do your own research and make sure that you hear the contrarian view of something. Make sure you have the hopium view of something, and then make the decision to see if it's something that you're going to participate in yourself. Because again, I'm not a financial advisor. So, thinking about PulseChain versus PulseX. This is like thinking about a Lamborghini versus a Ferrari. They're both great cars, right? We know they're both going to do phenomenal things. They're both going to be very fast. They're both very expensive. They both have the luxury logo with it. And that's what I feel like we get whenever we look at PulseChain versus PulseX. And it is a very good thing to state real fast that these are two different projects, right? Some people still may not fully understand that because they're being created by the same dev team, and they're being created by the same founder, which is Richard Hart. And so they think that a lot of them are just going to be essentially the same, or that they are the same. But PulseChain and PulseX are two different things. First off, PulseChain is a layer 1 solution for Ethereum. That is forking over the entire Ethereum network. So all of your tokens that you currently have on Ethereum, any ERC or ERC 721s, ERC20s or ERC 721s are going to be forked whenever PulseChain launches. PulseX, however, is a decentralized exchange, or I'll probably just say DEX from now on, which is decentralized exchange. They both have their own benefits. They both have different tokenomics, and individual, they are both going to do freaking phenomenal. But since, you know, we're talking about which one's going to do better, let's kind of take a look, right? They're both shared by the same founder. They're both shared by the same passionate community. They're both shared by everyone who is ready for the multiples of life-changing wealth. But this comparison is probably going to be fairer than most, because when you look at them, like, we have to say, like, we're launching at the same time. They're coming from the same network. They got the same founder. They got the same community. Eventually, they'll become their own little animals and start separating whenever it actually launches. But until that time, we want to take a look and see which one's going to do best. Now, in the past, I got to say, layer 1s typically will do better. It's just a fact. If you look at, and I'll show you a little chart at the end of this video, so stay tuned. If you look at layer 1 solutions that have been launched already in the past, they have gone and done so many more X's than a DEX has ever done. So it's good to know that right from the jump, if you're looking at it from that perspective, PulseChain is probably going to be the clear winner. But it's also becoming a thing now where people are no longer trusting centralized exchanges. People are losing their faith in what a centralized exchange would do, especially in recent times with the FTX collapse and Voyager collapse and oh my gosh, I'm just drawing a blank on all the other ones. Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, all the BlockFi, all these places have just done terribly for centralized exchanges, and it's pushing people into a world of decentralized exchange or DEXs. So we don't have enough information really about DEXs in order to make to ascertain that PulseChain is going to be the clear winner. Because the more that people learn about crypto, the more that we dive into crypto, the more it becomes very clear and apparent that DEXs are going to be a clear winner when it comes to the world of crypto. And I think that is something that I'm going to be considering in this area, because we've seen with recent events with centralized exchanges the importance of security, accountability, and the fact that you want to hold your own crypto. You don't want someone else or a middleman holding your crypto and controlling your future. So with that being said, DEXs are now becoming more and more prevalent for a lot of folks. It's no longer just for like an early adopter or even experienced veteran in crypto, right? It's no longer that. The learning curve that we're going through right now with crypto is like this, and people are learning more and more about it, and eventually it's going to go parabolic, but people are going to learn that centralized exchanges aren't the way to go in terms of crypto. Decentralized exchanges are the way to go. So the learning curve is definitely getting shortened, bringing a new dynamic to what could be possible for the future price performance. Now, I want to reference one of Randy Hilarski's video. By the way, he's a phenomenal content creator. If you aren't already following him, go check him out. I did a stream as well. You can look it up, ATX Crypto, Randy Hilarski. Phenomenal interview. I was so glad to have him on board. He does a daily stream Monday through Friday, and you know, he has his own Patreon community as well. He a phenomenal person in the world of our ecosystem that we're in right now. We're no longer a maximalist token like we once were with HEX and HEX only. We now are open to so many other cryptos, and if you want to look at someone who's winning, Randy Hilarski's definitely got the knowledge when it comes to a veteran in crypto. So I want to go back and look at something he mentioned. So when PulseChain first took place, a lot of folks had no idea that PulseChain was even launching. There were still so many people who were new to HEX, and so they didn't really get to sacrifice for it, because the sacrifice period came quick and left quick. It was a portion of 19 days. But during that time, there was also about a 3-month window where people got to hear more about it, and then there was a launch of the PulseX sacrifice, and that really was about 6 months in all reality. But there was a PulseX sacrifice where there was so much more excitement. There were so many more people who sacrificed for PulseX. But that doesn't mean that people are actually more excited for PulseX. That just means they heard about PulseChain and they missed the initial sacrifice. So what I think is possible is the people who invested in sacrifice for PulseX and missed the opportunity for PulseChain, or didn't go heavy enough in PulseChain, we're probably going to see in the beginning, when it first launches, a reallocation of funds. There's going to be a ratio trading period for the first couple days when PulseChain launches, before there's a bridge into the network, which allows people to inject their own money and bring in dollars and all that good stuff. In the beginning, it's all going to be ratios. So I think a lot of folks are going to be swapping their PulseX into PulseChain. He also mentioned in the video as well that, you know, think about PulseChain like in PulseX like the hare and the turtle, right? And so like in the beginning, when PulseChain launches, it's the hare in this scenario, right? It's going to be coming out of the gates fucking screaming, where we could see a potential like 100 to 200x in the first 90 days, right? First 180 days. It's probably going to be a wild freaking ride, just like it'll be a rocket ship to the moon. So the first 3 to 6 months are going to be shocking for a lot of folks. And that's what I want people to know, because again, you hear the it's a age-old adage, right? It's the slow and steady wins the race, and that's where PulseX is going to be coming into the picture. So it may not get the initial burst of energy that you see PulseChain go when it first launches, but in the long run, I do think that PulseX could possibly end up coming out the winner. That is because more and more people are figuring it out. The buy and burn mechanics and the other mechanics of tokenomics and PulseX are there, and it's a decentralized exchange that always will have basically transactions going on, whereas PulseChain could just be a store of value at some point. So it's very curious to see. So I'm actually very curious, because guys, we may only see PulseX, for example, in the first 3 to 6 months go and only do a 10 to 50x during that time, and PulseChain could do 100 to 200x, which could just shock everybody. But I think a lot of folks in that situation are probably going to be a little bit smart and say, I need to take some profits off the table and I need to reallocate some profits, and they're going to be looking around at what they can do it for, and it's either going to be HEX on PulseChain, HEX on Ethereum, or PulseX, and they're just going to be reallocating some of those profits, which only helps to pump the price of those other coins. So don't fall asleep on PulseX, guys. I think a lot of folks aren't really talking about it so much anymore nowadays, which is kind of actually pretty surprising, because I want to share this last little pick with you real fast. And this pick is a chart, okay? So this is a chart showing like layer ones and comparing PulseChain versus decentralized exchanges and comparing PulseX. So looking at this chart, it basically shows that you know, PulseChain has a potential to go and do 1100, or I'm sorry, to go and do a 4000x in a little over 1100 days, which is roughly about 3.8 years. That is pretty freaking massive, folks. I'm talking about a 100 to 200x in the first 3 to 6 months, and in the rest of that time we're talking about a 4000x. Now, comparing what we have with PulseX, we can see that this is a comparison to what other decentralized exchanges have done, but there's not a lot of data, unfortunately, when it comes to decentralized exchanges, right? Like, so keep that in mind whenever I look at this, because this says that it could possibly do a 500x within a year's time frame for an average based on what all these other ones did. And folks, there are so many better tokenomics when it comes to PulseX. So I want to make sure that you have a good understanding that we may see a rally in PulseChain right from the jump, but I think PulseX in the end may end up being the fucking the turtle in this scenario, and just coming along, just trotting along. That buy and burn function just keeps on buying and burning, and that buy and burn function is freaking massive. Every single token that happens on, or every transaction that happens has the potential to go into this buy and burn pool, and then anyone can run that function. It's an incredible thing that's going to be coming here in the very near future. We're definitely going to be going over all of this whenever the time comes. I wanted to make this information so that way y'all had an idea of PulseChain versus PulseX. I think in the beginning, dude, we might have some freaking massive returns, so just keep that in mind. Let's see what y'all got to say in the comments.